morning. It's Tuesday. It's not December, it's November the 14th. And we're here for another day. A couple of random things I realized I didn't update you on. My alarm that was not going off last week. It's still a mystery. I don't know what was going on and why it wasn't working. So what I ended up doing was I just deleted the sleep schedule that I had on my phone and re-entered it, and that seems to have solved the problem. So now that's working. But in relationship to that, I woke up this morning at 4:20 to exercise and essentially took Wolfie out to use the bathroom, and then just brought myself right back in the house and went back to bed, because now, in other debilitating news, my sciatic is acting up. And I don't even know if that's the right term, but a couple years ago I really injured my sciatic nerve to the point where I was crawling around at some points on a cane, like couldn't really do a whole lot of stuff because I was in excruciating pain, like excruciating pain that just got worse. And I was told, as I'm sure those of you that have experienced it, like once you damage that, there's just really no turning back. And so it's been pretty good, but for some reason yesterday, just randomly, my back on the side that I hurt myself just started hurting. So even right now, just standing and talking, it's not excruciating pain, but it's like definitely uncomfortable, like to bend down and do that. So this morning when the alarm went off, the dilemma was, okay, do you get up and get on that treadmill? Where's my cell phone? And you know, like work it out, because sometimes just movement helps. Or do you get up, get on that treadmill, and then potentially make it worse to the point where you can barely move your body around? So I selected the latter. A, because I didn't want to hurt myself, but also it just was nice to get back in the bed. But of course now I have like this sense of guilt, like you didn't work out today. And I mean, I don't like waking up that early, but working out is a pretty good start to the day. It just helps me to feel more awake when I get here. So now we just have to figure out if I'm going to then work out when I get home. So there's that. I also realized after I closed the blog yesterday, I didn't let you know the staff meeting that, the portion of the staff meeting that me and my coworker were in charge of, we got that done. It went well. I feel like I always panic about doing those, and panic is a strong word, but I always go in feeling like, do I really have like the content down of what I'm saying? Because we have meetings to go over the content ahead of time with other teachers in the district that do this for their staffs, to kind of go over like the content, discuss like any issues that may come up, or any concerns anybody has. So I get to preview it, but the one that I did yesterday, I had previewed that in, no, that one I hadn't actually gone to the meeting to preview. So I was just kind of going off the notes that were provided to me. So that went well. We had to do the 3 rotations. It went well. And it is based on Dr. Holly's book. And this one in particular, although I wasn't at the meeting, I was told there was a lot of conversation around some of the phrasing of some of the information, because culturally and linguistic responsive teaching practices, as the way Dr. Holly and his team rolls it out, he really emphasizes that it's not about race, like that culture is not race. And so these practices are not race-based, but some of the reading that we had to do talked about, you know, cultural behaviors in relationship to whiteness and mainstream culture, which in parentheses is defined as whiteness in the school setting. And I know that that was a point of conversation when they had that meeting, because they thought some teachers are going to be triggered or not receive that phrasing very well. And that was to be expected. And so I had a teacher question about that yesterday. And basically the question was, hi, are we supposed to be doing something today?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Are you vlogging?
Yeah. I was talking about the concept of whiteness.
Oh, okay. I was going to talk.
Where was I? I think I was talking about whiteness before Taylor came in. But so part of the presentation yesterday, we were talking about you know, that these cultural behaviors that they're going to learn throughout the next months are not about race. Like, culture is not race, and therefore these behaviors aren't conducive to race, so that you can't say every, you know, black student is a kinesthetic learner. They all need to get up and move. But it also talks about not looking at these cultural behaviors against, not having deficit thinking about these cultural behaviors in relationship to mainstream culture, which they refer to as whiteness. And I can't remember exactly the phrasing, but they also talked about schooling as being based in whiteness. And so there were some teachers that didn't really appreciate the phrasing and felt like it was contradictory. If it's not about race in terms of the cultural behaviors, then why are we talking about whiteness? And so I tried my best to explain the idea that the education system at its foundation, or at its origin, or at its inception in the United States, was geared around whiteness, like wealthy white males, to be specific. And so, and it's not really evolved to the point where it's still not designed around that, which is one of the reasons why you have a lot of students of color that don't really thrive in the system, because culturally there's some differences in what they may practice and what are norms for them outside of school versus what school is asking them to do. So I don't know if the teachers that had some issues with that heard that and like appreciate that explanation or agree with it, but I tried my best. But overall it went well. So that happened. But then also, as the union rep, afterwards we always kind of meet together. We try to, and if a teacher has any sort of concerns that are union based, they share them. And so on Thursday, when I vlogged and told you a lot of teachers were running extremely late because there was a fire relatively close that was closing a part of the freeway, which would then delay a lot of teachers. Those teachers got to work eventually on Thursday, but late. But then we found out yesterday some of them were getting emails from the district asking them to put in for sub coverage for the time they were out of class. And a lot of them were maybe 15, 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes late at the most. And so the question was, are they allowed to do that? Because essentially they're having to pay for a sub when they were really only about 40 minutes late, and pay for a half-day sub at minimum, and it's due to something that was totally out of their control, like, you know, a natural occurrence, or not a natural disaster, but Mother Nature was the cause. So that was brought to my attention, so I had to reach out to our union president. She had gotten some emails from other teachers at other schools who were told the same thing. And so I had to forward her the names of the teachers that are dealing with that, and she's going to work on it. And I'm pretty confident that will be resolved, and that teachers won't actually have to put in for sub coverage, because that is kind of crazy. But I had to collect the names of the teachers that were affected here, send it to the union president, and then she's going to handle that. So I need to get that email sent. But that's just kind of also a sample of what I do as a union rep at my site. So I'm just the rep for this school site, and I contact the union rep for the district anytime there's an issue or a concern here at the site. So that's what's up. As far as today is concerned, we're just reading a couple of chapters of The Firekeeper's Daughter. They have a quiz this week. I'll probably have to move it. It's supposed to be on Thursday, but that's also the next town hall meeting. And then in social studies, we're going to read the next section that will prepare them for the next town hall meeting, which is going to be based on the Townshend Acts. So that's what I'm doing. And that's it. It's 2:51. School's over. I have a union meeting at 3:15. I think I told you guys early this morning that I'm one of the union reps, and kind of gave you a brief summary of like a union issue that hopefully will be resolved. It looks like it will be, in terms of teachers being asked to put in for a sub day when they were late to work because there was a fire. So that meeting's at 3:15. That's a district-wide meeting where we just are privied or updated on any information that the teachers in the district might need to know or want to know. It's also the opportunity where we have to share site concerns that are basically concerns that are specific to your school site, if any. I don't have any site concerns. I am one of 4 site reps. There's 3 other ones. They typically go to the meetings as well. I take notes on the meeting and then I send them out to staff just so they have an idea of what was shared at the union meeting, just so they feel like they're kept in the loop. And when the meeting's over, I share those notes with them. And that's pretty much it. So I'm just in the process of trying to clean up my classroom. As far as today went as expected. The only thing that was slightly different, there you are, is that we only got to read one chapter of The Firekeeper's Daughter because it was a longer chapter. We are listening to the book on Audible, but they also have the book in their possession. I was able to get a copy ordered for each of my students. And so the chapter that we listened to was, hold on a second, there we go, 22 minutes on Audible. And then the next chapter was about 16 minutes, and we could have listened to it, but I really wanted to make sure we got through the social studies lesson so that they could spend tomorrow preparing for the town hall meeting, because the town hall meeting this week is the priority over reading The Firekeeper's Daughter, especially because what is going on? There we go. Especially because The Firekeeper's Daughter is something that technically they should be reading at home on their own to some degree. We read some of it together, but that's just me really being nice. So we were at one chapter of The Firekeeper's Daughter. Then we read 2 sections in social studies. Today the focus was the Townsend Acts and the Boston Massacre. So we read those sections so they knew what it was about. And I used this strategy today, which is called fade in, fade out reading. This is another strategy that I picked up during the trainings from Dr. Holly. And then I also put on the slides whether or not it's validating and affirming a cultural behavior, or is it building and bridging to a traditional school behavior. So in this case, the structure is building and bridging to turn taking, teacher controlled environments, and prompted responses. Meaning, like, I'm pretty much in control. Like I dictate, who's gonna read, when they're gonna read. And the other structure we've done, which is called jump in reading, I think I've described that one before. I really don't have any control because they jump in and read as they want to. So I feel like that went really well. I altered it a little bit in that I defined how much reading each person would do. So in that strategy, I walk around the room while students are reading, and as one student reads, I'm tapping the back of another student, letting them know that you're going to read next. And when students are chosen to read, they are supposed to read the first sentence in a lower tone of voice, and then after that first sentence, kind of read in a normal tone of voice, a little bit louder. And then when they get to the last sentence, they're gonna lower their voice down again. And the raising and the lowering of the voice is just so that as one student finishes reading, the other student can kind of seamlessly start the next paragraph without loud voices overlapping. So it went well. I will use it again. And then after we do this for a while, I'll do another version of another type of reading strategy, which is called tag reading. And in that, students pick who's gonna read next. And that's a little bit more, there's a little bit more opportunity for chaos to ensue there. So, but that's really it. That's what we accomplished. My switch class had to sit in lunch for 3 minutes and 3 seconds. I am that teacher that will time, because as I've said, they just are more hyped up and they have a harder time just getting things done quickly and quietly. And when they are told to do something like pack up and they just can't get that done without a lot of loudness and socializing, I don't necessarily stop them. I just start timing them, and then after the fact say, you guys wasted 3 minutes and 3 seconds, so now you have to pay it back. So they paid that back today. Then when we packed up today, I said, just to remind you, this is where you accumulated all that time where you lost at lunch today. So when I call your table, all I want you to do is pack up and have a seat. So let's try and just do this in a calm, quick, efficient, quiet manner. And they did. So then I was able to say, do you see the difference between what you did today versus what you've done in the past? They nodded their head yes and said they recognized that, and I believe them. So I have about 15 minutes before this next meeting. I'm gonna get myself ready. I'm probably gonna leave after the meeting because I have to go pick up my Target order that I didn't get yesterday. Tomorrow, they're gonna prepare for the town hall meeting. And I'm supposed to read Violence in the Movies, but now it's kind of questionable if I will do that. Maybe I will. I don't know. We'll see. But that's what I should be doing tomorrow, is reading Violence in the Movies. and then at some point before we leave for the week, I would need to be able to go over the skill of identifying author's viewpoint before break. I want it to be done before break because it makes no sense to read that passage and then let a week elapse and then come back and say, now what was the author's point of view or viewpoint on this? So we'll see what happens, but that's the plan. So I'll check in before I leave, but I'm getting ready to get ready for my meeting. The meeting is over. This one was relatively short. Normally I can multitask during the meetings, so I can take notes and, I don't know, enter grades or whatever the case may be. And for whatever reason today, I just could not do that. What is this? I could not do that. So I did it, and that's fine. What I was trying to do, I was trying to enter these social studies grades from the Colonial Fair where the kids had to fill in their bubble maps when they went around to the different booths, and I'm having to throw these out. I'm going to give all students credit because the sub that I had grade these, she graded them the wrong way, and I do not have time to now go back and regrade those. And in the grand scheme of things, it's just much easier, and it's not super life altering, just to give everybody the benefit of the doubt and give them the points and assume that they did it correctly. That way the kids can't ever say I never do anything nice. So that's what I chose to do. So I'm gonna head out. I'm going to go to Target to get my little pickup. All I'm going to pick up are some B12 vitamins that I desperately need to take on a regular basis so I don't feel like I'm gonna fall asleep all day every day. And moisturizer for my face. I probably will not exercise when I get home because my back is still hurting, and in fact it's hurting a little bit more than it was before, in the sense that now it's not just localized to the one spot in my back, it's just kind of really my lower back in general. So I'm gonna give it a break, and I'm going to put some ointment on it tonight and probably sit somewhere with the heating pad and hope for the best in the morning. So I am going to go ahead and end the vlog here. If you enjoyed this vlog, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you are not subscribed, please make sure you do subscribe. And as always, I hope that you are well. And if you're not well, please be well. And I will be sure to see you guys tomorrow. Bye.